like abandon, self-interest, have this kind of buoyant disinterest. It's not like a disinterest that is like cold and kind of like, indifferent in that way, but it's like a disinterest where it's like you're actually just kind of free floating and you're like bubbly still, but you're just not really interested in anything in particular. Because that interest itself kind of can focus yourself in this way that can kind of feel closed, or you kind of just start to simulate your own imagination. You kind of simulate the implications of what it might be like if that were true, even though nothing actually is true.
It's Voidtown Pirate Radio. Oh, hear them radio waves aglow. Yo ho, yo ho, yo ho, yo ho. It's Voidtown Pirate Radio.
Happy New Year. This is the first podcast of 2026 for
Voidtown Pirate Radio.
New year, new name. And we have a very special and very ordinary podcast today because we have a Khenpo who is famous, big in Bhutan. And we also have Chip and Nora with us and Beau Dean Mackenzie.
All right.
Oh, yeah, Beau. So first off, Beau is going to read us something out of the Crestone magazine here about the history of Yeshe Khorlo, is it?
Well, I want to, Crestone's a special place, and I just want to give some history background on Crestone and how these spiritual centers actually came about. And so it's a big deal for us to let the public know, and whoever listens to this, to understand this really odd little cool town in Colorado called Crestone. So I'm just going to try to read this real quick. So during 1977, 1978, my husband, Maurice Strong, they made a number of visits to the Boca Grande. Our first visit, I remember how memorized I was by the beauty of the place. I knew that we would want to make it our home. Maurice and a partner had recently acquired AZL Resources, the company that owned the Boca Grande Ranch since the early 1960s. We also visited other AZL land holdings of approximately 2 million acres of ranches. So they had a lot of property, the Hannah Strong and her husband, and it was in New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, yet I knew Baca was the place. We had a home in Canada at the time, but decided to relocate to the Baca in 1978. So the Baca is just right outside of Crestone, okay? I got confused when I first came here. I was like, Baca? I thought it was like a mountain range 20 million miles away. But the Baca is literally like super close to Crestone, okay? So in 1978, my mother, my daughter, and I moved from Canada to the Louise Marie Baca Ranch House. Okay, that's the house they named. Built in 1823. As we first entered the valley through the North Pass, we were greeted by the 4 golden eagles. In October 1978, a few months after settling in, a stranger appeared at my door and introduced himself as Glenn Anderson. I immediately sensed his kindness and certainty light in his eyes. I invited him for tea. I did not know that many people throughout the valley knew of Glenn as the local mystic and prophet. The first words he uttered were, "I've been waiting for you to arrive." So Hannah Strong arrived, and it was like this synchronized event with this Glenn. And he then began to recounting the prophetic vision for Crestone he experienced in 1960. He came to visit me every day for the next 4 days to share these predictions in detail. He revealed that the original conceived a retirement community plan for the Baca would collapse to make way for Baca's real purpose. So originally, that's what Crestone was. It was going to be a retirement area, right? And he's like, okay, so now there's this real purpose coming, right? So he went on to explain the following: the collapse of the original we're going to make a retirement community out here. It's be lovely place, right? So a foreigner would come to manifest the vision and the different world traditions. Wait, hold on. Sorry. Let me back up here. He went on to explain the following would collapse. A foreigner would come to manifest the vision. The different world traditions and religions would come to Crestone to help bring forth a new civilization or involved human beings. He stated that thousands of people from all over the world would receive teachings in the elevation of consciousness and spiritual transformations at the centers that would be established here. These individuals and organizations would become part of the foundation for the new civilization based on higher spiritual values. The area would eventually be known throughout the world for its interfaith community and the commitment to education, environmentalism, and spiritual pursuits. When he had finished relaying his vision, he told me, this is what you've come to Crestone to do. So I want everyone in the audience to know this Hannah Strong coming and meeting this visionary Glenn and then establishing, they then went on to donate all these lands, right? And so with one of the lands, so I don't know the full story, but anyways, the Yeshe Khorlo, one of the sects of Buddhism, was offered a portion of the land. And I think Chip knows some history on the actual history of Yeshe Khorlo connection with the land and being how that came about. So, yeah, I think that's a good understanding of the spiritual centers and then how significant Crestone is to be worldwide. And so we want this to be a special podcast and just honoring Hannah Strong's vision. And then we'll just go back to, and then there was Chip and Nora run the center at the Yeshe Khorlo, and we want to just ask, and I'm going to turn this back over to Chris O.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like the Noah's Ark of like spirituality out here. You got like two of each different kind of like religion. My friend's joke is that there's more things to believe in out here than there actually are people to believe in it. Yeah. So yeah, what do you guys like? What's your kind of history with just coming out? Because part of this podcast is also just talking about people's stories of even coming out to this unique area. So yeah, stories about that, and then about Yeshe Khorlo.
Yeah, I mean, just like Beau set up in the intro, Yeshe Khorlo received a grant from the Manitou Foundation from Hannah Strong. So I think Hannah Strong had met Ganten Tulku Rinpoche, who's the head of our lineage. It's a Nyingma lineage that is very unique and special to Bhutan. So there's not a lot of iterations of this particular form in the outside of Bhutan at all, really, but especially in the United States. So with Ganten Tulku Rinpoche, is a very special teacher that we can talk about in a second. But just to set up the stage of why we're here and why Yeshe Khorlo is in Crestone, that Ganten Tulku Rinpoche received 310 acres from Hannah Strong and the Manitou Foundation. Manitou Foundation, like Beau set up, is intended for establishing spiritual teachings and communities in this area that also have great commitment to environmental stewardship and that are trying to advance a more peaceful sort of opportunity for training and coexisting with the natural environment in this place. So Crestone's obviously a place of incredible natural beauty and mystery, and you can feel it just by coming here. But also, Crestone has started with the Manitou Foundation, with Hannah Strong's work, because it's drawn all these different unique spiritual traditions here. Then we have this almost like this spiritual mirage, right? Like a possibility for people to come to the high desert and really have experiences and connect with teachers and sacred sites and longstanding, very valuable spiritual traditions from around the world. all in one tiny area in a very unexpected way. Rinpoche received his lot in 96, I believe, and then in 98, Rinpoche sent Lopan Perpa Dorje, who is the residential teacher here for many years, to partner with one of his students that came out from North Carolina, named Pat Keenan, to come together and actually start a center out here. And so they sort of settled the area from scratch, right? No techs, no buildings, no nothing. It's just a lot, right? A very large lot. And the idea was for us to establish a retreat center as well as a Bhutanese style lock-on. So a retreat center with possibilities for expanding into additional cabins and hermitages, but a solitary retreat center in the high desert in the Sangre de Cristos, where people could really go deep into their practice of the nature of mind and produce real results, real fruit. And so that was set up starting in 98. I think that the temple was finished in 2000, 2001. And since then, now we have 4 cabins and a Bhutanese style lock-on, where we've had many different group retreats. And I would say at this point, hundreds of people pursuing an individual retreat practice. So these are all very rustic cabins, very minimal, totally quiet. It's as quiet as you can get. Crestone's already quiet, but we're surrounded by retreat centers on all sides and just protected land. So this is a place where you have interactions with, or potential for interactions with all kinds of incredible animals and wildlife, from bears, mountain lions, bobcats, foxes, rabbits, deer, everywhere, right? So a totally unique place for people to come from all around the world and really drop in a significant way to intentionally train in their spiritual practice, and for us, largely in their Buddhist practice.
And yeah, and I also want to just premise, like we're launching this podcast on the first day of 2026. It's the new year. And 2 months ago, I went up to another stupa and was able to help build a stupa. It's the White Jewel Mountain Stupa, and I volunteered, a good friend of mine, Calvin, and they said there was and we're going to talk about this later, but I just want to premise this a little bit right here, that there was going to be a new Khenpo come to Yeshe Khorlo. I had no idea. I was just being introduced to Buddhism, and that was my journey. So this is something I just want to say from my heart. Like, I'm so grateful to be able to have these folks here, because I've been able to go up for the last couple months and start what's known as the Nunjo practice. And they've been so helpful. And I'm beaming with love for the folks that are here today. And so, Chip, thank you for telling us that. Now, I'm curious a little bit. I want to get to know you guys a little bit more. And so, Chip, were you the first one? Okay, so in 96 it was established, right?
I think, 96 you got the land, and then 98 is when they put the wheels in motion.
Right. And then when did you come on board? What year was it?
I came after Nora. So Nora was the one that introduced me to this place. And so I first came in 2006, shortly after we started dating. So this could be a good pivot to Nora of how did you come across this place?
Yeah, okay. So Nora, how did you find Yeshe Khorlo? What's your story, your solo story?
I was working at CU Boulder, and I had taken Buddhist refuge vows with a teacher from Bhutan who had come to visit Boulder. But the teacher actually went back to Bhutan. And so I was at work, and I was on a new job. And I ended up talking to my boss's boss about having taken refuge vows with this Bhutanese teacher. And she said, well, my teacher's from Bhutan too. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, you should really come to my temple in Crestone. And I said, sure. I mean, I really am interested in Vajrayana, and I had a great connection with this teacher. And so my boss took me to Yeshe Khorlo, and I met Gongcha Rinpoche, and I met Lopan Perpa Dorje on that trip, and it was
So you came out here. What year was that again?
that was in 2005.
Oh, 2005.
Yeah, 2005.
Okay.
And I was instantly at home. And so I knew that I wanted to go deeper into the practices that they did at Yeshe Khorlo. And so the first thing to do to embark on a path, if you're serious about getting into this tradition, is to do the Nundro. And so I ended up starting the Nundro practice, the preliminary practices for this tradition, maybe 6 months after that. And at that time, Chip and I were just starting to date.
Wait, where did you meet? Where did you guys meet?
We met at CU Boulder. So we were in a class together.
Oh, class.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was working at CU, and then I also was taking classes. So I met Chip at that time. And so I came down to do a Nundro retreat, and I needed a ride home. And so Chip came to pick me up. And then he met Lopan Perpa Dorje. He was our resident teacher at the time. He was living in Crestone, and they had a good connection. And so we both just have continued to come to Yeshe Khorlo since that time.
Nah, even better than a pickup line is to just actually pick them up.
That's great.
So what is Nundro? Like, what's involved in that? I mean, is it prostrations, or is it a bunch of different stuff, or a little summary on that?
Yeah, so Nundro is the foundational practices, but like, Khenpo Wanchik here, we'll introduce here in a second, is he's always said that, well, for our tradition, the Nundro is the most special one, right? It's the most special because even after you get these mind-blowing teachings, literally mind-blowing teachings, that after you've passed through the door of the Nundro is still the foundation for your life. So it gives you the opportunity to really focus in on your motivation for what you're doing, to prevent any kind of obstacles in your path, and to really focus in a laser focus kind of way of what are we doing with our life? How do we benefit others? How do we work with our mind, work with suffering, work with circumstances, and really look directly at our experience and find out who we are on a fundamental level. And I think that overall, that's what everybody is looking for in some ways. Who am I? How do I actually understand what's going on? How do I make the most of my life? How do I be happy? How do I encounter reality, right? How do I encounter what's really there? And so you do this through the Nundro. And so the Nundro is not just the beginning, it's the thread that really ties everything together. So it's very, it's the foundation, and it still stays the foundation forever, right? For your practice, for really stabilizing your practice.
No.
And so that involves very quickly, there's 5 different sections. So at the beginning of the Nundro, it says sort of why you would do it and what the motivation for doing it is. So how to turn your mind away from essentially confusion about appearances and confusion about your identity, in order to focus in on what's really happening, and in order to live your life well and make good use of your time. So there's sort of like a setup for it. Then you have 5 different sections where you accumulate a variety of different practices. So you could say more broadly, these are mind-body practices in a contemporary language, but they would include a section on refuge, where you take refuge in, many different things in the nature of mind, but also in your teachers, the Buddhists that have come before you, and the refuge in reality, in the true nature of your mind and of reality.
Refuge in the absence of yourself. Yeah.
This is definitely, that's a part of the discovery with this, right? So the refuge section involves prostrations and visualization. The next section is bodhicitta, which is awakening compassion and understanding a little bit more about after you take refuge in this, what happens and what it is that's actually appearing and going on. And after that, you have a section on Vajrasattva, Dorje Sampa, where you're working with mantra and visualization and light. You have a section on mandala, where mandala would be, there's much that can be said for all these things, so I'm trying to keep it short. But with mandala, you're accumulating merit. And in all these sections, you're accumulating both merit and wisdom, where you'll have a visualization that you'll set up that is very significant, and then it will dissolve, and then you'll rest in the nature of your mind. So in the mandala section, it's an offering practice. So offering very profound things, but also very concrete things, anything possible in your experience that's precious, and really anything that appears and exists, you're offering and giving away. So you're working just like you're saying, working with the absence of the sense of self. And then in the Guru Yoga section, the final section, you're receiving empowerment from the lineage, and you're praying to be able to accomplish the path of Dzogchen. So this is a very, the language in this Nundro is very unique and special, and I would say it's extremely rare in having such a profound liturgy that's very brief and to the point, that you work with on a daily basis, and prepares you for an introduction to the nature of your mind from a living Lama. So this tradition has always been a living tradition, and it's not something you're going to find through books or through the internet. It's something that you receive directly from an enlightened teacher, and you get it directly from the source. And you have a lineage that links that all the way back from the beginning of the lineage. So that's a little bit about it. With each section, you accumulate 10,000 of each of the practices, so you kind of keep track. 10,000 is sort of a minor ask and commitment. Usually most schools request that you do 100,000 of each section. This is made short because our life is fleeting. We could die anytime. It's nothing is certain. It's important to actually get these teachings so that you can have a meaningful life and a meaningful death. So we train in all different possible experiences, dreaming, dying, and living our life to be able to make the most of every opportunity. And so that's a little bit about the Nundro.
Yeah, and I'm just jumping out of my seat over here as Chip's like explaining the Nundro to share my personal experience getting introduced to Nundro and actually becoming a student of Khenpo, and how all that. So it's just, and so maybe I can just, I'll keep this short because we want to keep it on you guys, but I just really like enthusiastically want to share from this question, what is Nundro, and my introduction to it. I was dying to get into the spiritual centers in Crestone, and for some reason I was working on my businesses and the timing wasn't right, but I wanted a spiritual practice, and I knew I had some obscurations. I struggle, my health, I was having health issues, and whatever that may be, it's emotional, mental, physical health issues, and I was just praying that I could get relief. And I was like, man, how am I ever going to, like some days I felt like I was going to die with this chronic illness, some rare chronic illness that we all know about these days. I mean, I don't even want to give it any energy and talk about it. But the point of it is, I have a good friend named Calvin, and we lived in Sedona, and he was always doing throat singing. And he's like, I think I'm going to become a monk. I think I need to go up to do a retreat. And I was like, and I always like resonated with Calvin and his throat singing. And I always like would do it in our place that we lived in. I just loved it. It was very helpful. Well, lo and behold, I researched on this particular chronic illness that I have. And one of the healings is throat singing or mantras or repeating things with your voice. And I had a vision of, and this is my personal beliefs, that like I'm consider myself a very big believer in the Buddha, Jesus. And so I had a vision that Jesus met with Rinpoche. And I saw in my vision that Rinpoche was meeting with the Lord and initiating a new activation in Crestone. And I remember I woke up and I was like, wow, that was a powerful dream. And then the next night I saw this huge, giant, like, comet. It was a green comet. It just, and I was like, okay, that's cool. It's green. And all of a sudden it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm seeing something that it's out of the norm. And it just was so beautiful. It was emerald green comet. And then the exact same day, I had the magical experience of meeting Khenpo Wangchu arriving here in the area. So I like to joke around, and I'll probably forever say this Khenpo La came on a green comet from the sky, and he arrived here in Crestone. And so we'll get into him, but holy cow, Nundro, back to the Nundro, Chip's excellent explanation. And so I started instructed from my teacher to start practicing. I felt called particular to the Vajra section, obscuration, sicknesses, sorrows, and so it's and I memorized it, and I started to feel, and I'm only like, I sound like I'm only in this like 2 months, and I'm already feeling results. I really am. And so my connection with Yeshe Khorlo, my soul's purpose, is starting to unfold, and this podcast is just one small little aspect of it, and we're just going to allow that to happen. However, my heart is like the Nundro, and I'm going to continue to do it. And hopefully when Rinpoche comes in August, I'll have my 10,000 done. And Calvin's always like, I'm taking this serious. And so I'm taking this serious as well, but I also have other obligations outside of not being able to go up to the actual retreat and dedicate my life, which I wish I could do. However, but you guys got married at the Yeshe Khorlo. And I want to kick this back to you guys. So 2017, like what? Okay. Nora?
2008.
Where did it? Oh, okay. Thanks for correcting me.
We've been married 17 years.
Yeah, we've done some time.
Yeah.
I got the number mixed up there. Okay, you're not a... Wow, okay. But you were married on the ground, so I guess that's what I want to make sure. And how was that experience? Like,
well, it's actually, it was kind of interesting. So in Colorado, at that time, I don't know if it's changed, but Colorado didn't require any witnesses for a marriage. You could just basically go and pay for your marriage license, and then you could marry each other. Oh. And so that's what Chip and I did. We married each other. It was just the two of us in the forest at Yeshe Khorlo. And then at that time, we knew we wanted to come down after our, private ceremony together to receive a blessing from Lopan Perpa Dorji. And when we came down to the temple, it was actually a soak feast day. And so there were many people that had come to the temple to celebrate the soak feast, which is something that we do twice a month at the temple. It's a ritual practice that also involves food. And so we felt like we had a spontaneous wedding, because when we came down to receive our blessing from Lopan Perpa Dorji, it was also incorporated into the soak that day. So we did get married at Yeshe Khorlo, but it wasn't like we had a ceremony in the shrine room or anything. We just we were married in the forest.
And so, like Chip was saying, they have these little cabins up above the main temple center, and they're retreat cabins. And there's a protocol to a retreat. If you're wanting to come and Yeshe Khorlo and do a retreat, Nora will explain what it's all about. And generally speaking, it's people that are already doing maybe a different practice, or they're going to be doing a Yeshe Khorlo. But on the trail, I had the privilege of going with Chip, and he's showing us the cabins, and I think there's 4, right? And we come on the cabin, and then there's this big heart thing that Chip created out of I feel like for some reason I look at it like deer horns. It was sticks. But yeah, it was really cute, and I really loved their love story, and not only that, like their dedication personally, because then I asked him, I'm like, well, Chip, did you do a retreat? He said, oh yeah, I did like a 3-month
Actually that's Nora. So
no, you did a retreat though.
Yeah, I've done retreat there, but Nora's really is admirable that what she's done, that it's not easy to make time in our life for this. And for many years she would spend the time that she had off from work when things would slow down, or she could get time off of work in December, or different times of the year, but largely she would schedule regular retreats to come out here from Boulder when we were living in the city, and just drive out here and do something for a couple weeks, 3 weeks. And she actually is the one that had done a 3-month retreat. So that's her.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, we both done shorter ones here, but she's the one that should honor and say, like, no, she's made this a crucial part of her path and really prioritizing it in her life, which is not easy.
All right, folks, that's why we're doing this interview. I got the numbers right, but they're correct.
Close enough.
Actually, I had to leave after 2 months. I didn't make it to 3.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But my main question I want to ask, and just let the audience know, like, they're married. You guys were married and you did a retreat, right?
So
No?
we were married when we did some retreats that were led by Gongting Rinpoche. And so we were not on an isolated retreat at that time, but
Okay.
when you go through the Nundro and then begin to receive Dzogchen teachings, those retreats are done over typically 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes up to a month. And so it's true that Chip and I did retreat together, but we were also coming down to the temple to receive teachings. So it wasn't an isolated retreat, just the 2 of us.
But okay, so you never did as a married couple. I guess I just need to clarify. As a married couple, you never did an isolated retreat separated from each other.
honeymoon silent retreat.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm trying to clarify and make this just because it's a pretty big deal if you're a couple and then also you do a private retreat, you separate for a while. You never did that.
No, I came down and did a long retreat separate from
Okay, so
Chip was
that's
still
what
working.
so
Yeah.
that's significant in
Yeah.
you guys' journey as a couple. Because if you can imagine, it's like your significant other, you got to separate. And anyways, I just found that to be a pretty incredible thing. And then not seeing each other and missing, it's just, and this is an individual practice, and I get it. So it's really commendable for the 2 of you to be able to have done it for so long. And then, what was my other question with Chip and Nora?
How come it only lasted 2 months? You said you were like intending to do 3 months and it just lasted 2?
I intended to do 3 months, but I got sick.
Oh.
And so I decided to cut it short.
Uh-huh. I see. Yeah, I mean, these practices I think have been really supporting Beau and Calvin, keeping them off the streets, and Calvin is kind of a bigger fellow, and he's not really motivated to work out, but I think like the prostration, he's spiritually motivated, and so it's like the prostrations motivate him to basically work out. And then Beau showed me one of the books. It was called like The Excellent Path to Awakening, or The Excellent Path to Enlightenment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, when I saw that, I was like, you know what? The mediocre path to enlightenment is good enough for me.
We haven't converted Chris yet, and so I'm gonna just keep trying to. No,
I think
if you feel called, like I met Chip and Nora, and I remember in the kitchen, I just remember feeling like I have a specific path, and I was looking for something, and it's this gift, this idea of the gift of illumination and awakening, and I struggle with it. And so he was like, yep, this is it. You found, like, this is the one.
Yeah, this is the path of illumination. There is no other path of illumination. This is the real one. And so that's what Dzogchen will provide for you is you learn what that means in a concrete way, in a direct way, and there is no other path of illumination. So it's, for me, I'm not saying that in like a cocky way of that this is a better one than others, or this is something that everyone should do. I just mean that you can gold test everything out there.
Wow.
So there's a spiritual marketplace. And for me, I was always a seeker from a very young age. I left home very early, and I had a lot of different types of experiences that I was trying to sort of figure out. And I had a lot of questions, and I wanted to know what happened when you die. I wanted to know what happens with psychedelics, what happens with a lot of different altered states and mind-body practices. And so I became really interested at a young age. And then I found this place, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's why we're doing what we're doing is you can tell the real and the fake. So if you're around long enough, there's some that are fake and some that are fake that don't know it. And this is an authentic teacher, an authentic lineage, and you can just find out.
Oh,
so
man.
You can tell. You meet the teacher, you see what the practices are, you see what the fruit is from people like Khenchen Wangchuk and Gantu Tsogu Rinpoche, Lopon Purba Dorje. I haven't seen anything else like this ever, that you can really start without any previous background. And in a way, it's better if you don't have a previous background, because you're not conditioned by what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
So we've always had a Sangha full of adventurers and artists and creative types. And it's a real fresh, lively mix, because you don't need to reject your culture. You don't need to reject your skills and your talents. This is not like we're trying to convert people to religion. It's really more of who are you and what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
And how do you go beyond your limitations? And how do you really discover what an authentic, spiritual path is? And that this has everything there in overabundance. So you can gold test it and find out. And that for us, we don't tell anybody to do this. We actually sort of keep it secret sometimes, because this is not something where we want people to just do because it's a fashion. It's something that this is the real one. Right. And sometimes it's not easy to really look at yourself closely and to change your life. But we have the tools and techniques to do that in this lineage. So everything comes through the lineage. And I don't see that in a lot of contemporary spiritual practices and teachers.
And I think this is bleeding into really good, because I'm an abandoned child. I'm grateful to be adopted into the Rinpoche lineage, and I feel like I'm like God kind of wrapped me in. It's like, okay, you're part of this lineage. And it feels, that belonging feels really nice. And like Chip says, it's not a religion, it's a practice that helps you reach a certain attainment in your life. Like, I remember I was getting promptings that I would walk through some spiritual doorway that would be opened up for me. And I'd been waiting, and it just happened to be for me through Nundro. So I'm going to be very passionate about this probably the rest of my life. And potentially even like my brother and I were builders, and my soul's path is about building structures for this thing. And so I'm seeing now, as I've been adopted into the lineage and started the Nundro practice, preparing for Rinpoche, just the importance and how, like, oh my gosh, like it's like being handed a jam in front of me and being like, this is the doorway. And when you experience something like this in my spiritual path, when you have a spiritual experience or you have a breakthrough or you get healing of some kind, the first thing you want to do, the very first, throughout my life, is you want to share it with someone. That's just a natural tendency. And I've always at my heart been a proselyter. And so I want to help in the process of creating potentially more Yeshe Khorlo centers, potentially shuttling Khenpo monks from Bhutan. And now I'm even creating a love for Bhutan and getting to know Khenpo a little bit more and his vision of what he wants. So I just want to premise this, like there's twofold here, right? There's this idea that here in America, these teachings have kind of been kind of secretive, to be honest with y'all. They really are. They're not mainstream. And we have these prejudice or these weird things that we think Buddhism is, and it's not true. So I believe it's part of debunking the myths or misunderstanding what Buddhism is, and then specifically this practice particularly. So here in America, we're in a spiritual war battle going on right now. I mean, it's raging. And so what's happening in this moment and now in 2026 is, from what my awareness is, I can see, is you have in this, and I'm going to premise this around the spiritual community. You have Christians, there's the New Age movement, and then there's Buddhism, okay? And then there's all these tarot card readers online. Like there's just tons of them. Okay, so we're navigating a landmine of beliefs. And so I believe in this certain scripture that talks about in the Bible where it says you shouldn't, tossed and froed by every wind of doctrine. It really gets you off the path. And so I'm seeing how, and then going back to Crestone, I just want to reread. It says the area would eventually be known throughout the world for its interfaith community. What does that mean? Interfaith means we start to respect other faiths and religious beliefs, because there's also, Hannah Strong, I believe, donated to the Catholic Church. There's a Presbyterian. And what I think consciousness is eventually going to is the religions don't actually go away, they evolve. And here in Crestone, that's our mission, and mine particular, and that's why I'm there. I'm just a kind of guy that I like to say a man of many religions, but I'm also involved with the Shumeis, but I'm also honoring and respecting that I have chosen to enlighten through the adoption into the Rinpoche lineage, being linked through my guide and my teacher. Because when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. And I'm so grateful to do this podcast to actually introduce my teacher for life. And I get a little emotional about it. But that's part of the practice, is feeling again and feeling those emotions. And so we have all of, the Christian beliefs, we've got the Buddhist beliefs, we've got the New Age. And I'm just praying through all of these confrontations and these buzzwords we hear, we can understand that there's a thread of truth through all of it, right? And that it's just so neat in Crestone to see all these spiritual centers, and you see like, wow, the Shume, the Japanese, I just love it. And you see the different monks from the different lineages on the road up on the Baka. And it's not even been fully materialized or activated fully. Because I've done my research and I've kind of got a feel for each one. And so Yeshe Khorlo, I believe, is about to be on a verge of exploding. And it's not because we're great. It's because I believe God wants it to come to America and be part of the awake, because we need it over. We're so in YouTube, I had it, and then everyone goes off on some. and they don't know what they're talking about. They're misleading people, and then you play with your belly button, you get hurt, like, so, let's see. Yeah. And so, Chip and Nora, wow. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you for your dedication. I go up and try to practice as much as I can with Chip and Nora. And I should actually do my practice in the temple to be an example to others that you can use the facilities. And I'm a layman with $2 in my pocket with no car, right? And so, wow, how cool. It's the Khenpo that works with the lay people of the forgotten people or victims of circumstances. And that was the very thing that Jesus did, right? He came to the brokenhearted. He came to the less fortunate to help us rise up. And Chip and Nora are so dedicated. Chip is like so good at the certain particular, and he's still learning. I get it. I'm not going to put him too much on a pedestal. Don't worry, Chip. However, I am going to commend him and give him a compliment because he's my teacher in teaching me. He's kind of helped me like with the wording. So I've come up with he helped me pronounce the words. It's very difficult. And he does a particular practice with his wife, Nora, which is the Malkala, and they do it every day, like every day at 4:00. I don't even think they've missed one. I don't know. When was the last time you missed the practice? No, she shook her head. So that is incredible. And that particular practice is for protection and clearing obscurations. How beautiful is that? So it's a great honor to be able to go up there and to participate with their dedication and then learn from that. And so you would be considered in the temple, Chip. What is your term? Remind me of okay, so there's Khenpo and then you, which would be...
I don't have a term. We don't have terms.
Well, no, there's that guy. No, he sits in there, but there's chair.
There and
now, wait a minute. I want to, whether it's Chip or anyone, there's 3 chairs in the room. I mean, it's so beautiful. There's one where Khenpo sits, and then there's one when Rinpoche comes, he sits in it. Can you just remind me of the 3? So if I was ever to sit in the one that we sit in, what is the term for that?
Maybe you're saying umze. So
umze, that's it.
Chant leader.
That's that, so chant leader. Umze.
You sort of almost like a conductor for the practices.
So Chip is an umze at the center.
Yeah, so the umze follows in this situation, the Khenpo, the Dorje Lopan, the
correct
ritual master that oversees and holds the space, and that the umze helps all of the people that are there to practice to be able to come together and coordinate a practice with different aspects.
So I would be considered a yogi, right?
A yogi's a good one. That's what I would like to be. I aspire
a noob. Yeah. I'm a noob, a yogi noob. And so then you have actual monks, right? Monks that are fully took vows. They took a vow oath. Like Anna Kay, for example, she's a nun. She's a
the nuns and monks that come to Yeshe Khorlo, they didn't take their vows within Yeshe Khorlo.
Oh, right.
They live in Crestone and then come to the temple.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that bleeds into a question. Can there be an actual Yeshe Khorlo devoted monk through this particular lineage?
I think there could be, but we tend not to produce monks. We produce yogis.
Okay,
so
good clarification.
You don't need to inherently become a monk just to show your sincerity or to go deeper in your practice. This is a path for people that are from all walks of life. Like they say, you could be a butcher, you could be a prostitute, you could be a gambler, you could be a monk, you could be any walk of life. That this is for everybody because it's actually penetrating deep into the heart of your experience. And anybody that does the practice.
And that's right. Chip's right, because I lived in Sedona and I went to AA and I went through the whole AA thing. And in Sedona, there was an advanced AA. And so, and it was at the Global Center of Christ Consciousness. And it's true. The AA, they even actually came out with it. Their board members came together do we need to upgrade the book? And they said, no, AA is a good is still going to be good for the newcomer, overcoming alcohol, substance abuse. And so what I told a good friend of mine down in Scottsdale, Mike, I won't mention his name, but he was like, I don't know if this AA is helping me out. And I was like, yeah, you got to pick a spiritual practice. I'm like, I'm doing one. This is my personal beliefs that those members that have been going to AA, you can get stagnant and you need a more advanced spiritual practice of enlightenment. Because Bill even said in the AA book, this was leading towards God consciousness. So it's kind of like, not that you should never, like, it's great. The 12 principles are great. But however, this particular practice, the Nundro, the obscurations, the sicknesses and the sorrows and the sufferings of an addict wanting to suppress your emotions. And I even got a little emotion during this podcast because it brings up those emotions and help you release them. So Chip's exactly right. Okay, we're in the new year. We're launching this thing off. Let's do this, folks. And I'm super like this auspicious, just introducing this on the new year for our visions for 2026. And we want to bring a special soul onto the podcast because he has a vision. He has a purpose. There's a purpose of why he's here. And I just want to say real quick, Chip and Nora have been practicing there. They were doing the best they can with the other people that were involved with Yeshe Khorlo. But when Khenpo came in, he was, oh no, like this, or he added, and he was so loving about it. He just approached it so loving, and it just kind of like gave us like, oh, okay, all right, Khenpo, that's how you do it. Yeah, we'll do it like that. So there's all these practices, like even the chewed practice that he brought to you. Oh, the chewed practice, like huge. And so he's teaching true, proper ways. And so maybe Chip, maybe Chip can introduce Khenpo and maybe give us a background of Khenpo and like, so we can and his English, like honestly, is amazing. I can barely, say Vadra, Bendra, like.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
Yeah. So there's really a lot of ground to cover, so we'll try to keep it to the point, right? Maybe just to set it up, that this is a tradition that comes directly from the teacher, from their own experience to you. This is not there's nothing you have to believe. There's not a system of prohibition. It's transmission from a teacher to a student. So the teacher is so important. And so I think it would be out of step to introduce Khenpo without introducing his teacher, who's important to him as well. Okay. So with Ganten Tulku Rinpoche, this lineage goes back to Guru Rinpoche from the 8th century. Okay. So there's not a lot of newness and innovation with it, that this is a traditional approach that's very direct. You could say phenomenological. It goes into your experience. And so there's much to be said about this lineage and about this teacher, but that this is Ganten Tulku Rinpoche holds the Pema Lingpa lineage. He's one of the primary Dzogchen masters in the world, and in Bhutan holds a very special place. The Pema Lingpa lineage has always been tied in closely with the Wangchuck dynasty, with the royal family, and they've always had sort of teacher-student relationship, that many of the royal family have been students of this lineage. So it holds a very special, important place in Bhutan, and many of us in the U.S. don't know much about Bhutan. So that's why I'm saying I don't want to oversay anything, but we want to honor where this comes from, that this is Pema Lingpa lineage that comes from Guru Rinpoche to Pema Lingpa. This is the short lineage. It's a Terma lineage. And that means that essentially it's the direct teachings from Guru Rinpoche through Pema Lingpa. Ganten Tulku Rinpoche holds this lineage. Ganten Tulku Rinpoche is Khinchen Wangchuk's teacher, and is really a critical, indispensable person for that country. The Paling lineage and Rinpoche are like inseparable from the heart of Bhutan. So to set up our Khenpo here, Kenshin Wanche. Kenshin is an honorary title. You can say you can say Kenshin or Ken Rinpoche or Dzogchen, Khenpo, or any different
But he
thing.
did introduce. But when he is like, my name is Wangchu, like. But that's the lineage of what you're trying to say, the royal family of Bhutan, right? The Wangchu.
But he could say more about Wangchu. But the title Khenpo is a title that you receive after extremely intensive study over many, many years. So you can correct me, but maybe something like a dozen years or more, right?
Right. My friend said it's like higher than a PhD. It's more time than a PhD.
Higher than a PhD.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong commitment, and it's very challenging. It's not easy for people to do this. You also have to hold vows in order to be a true Khenpo. And so that anybody can go through this process, but to actually be a Khenpo, you have to retain that through your life out of concern for the welfare of other beings. So even though you're free to do anything, that you're intentionally taking on these vows as a very special commitment to alleviate the suffering of others.
Because I want, yeah.
And so Khenpo would be the title. Kenshin is an honorary title for a Khenpo. This Khenpo is a very special one. So in Bhutan, he started at Gante, so the place overseen by Ganten Toku Rinpoche, coming from the south of Bhutan. So he came as in his teens, and to come to Gante to learn and study as a monk, and accomplished quite a bit throughout his career, as you can imagine. And so that includes many different aspects, but some highlights are that he was appointed as the Dorje Lopan, the sort of the master overseeing a very critical temple in eastern Bhutan called Drametse. And so he held that position for many years and served that after being appointed by Rinpoche to do this. Coming from the south, he's always been someone extremely adept at working with all varieties of different people. Whether you're lettered, right? Whether you're learned and can read and write, or whether you're a farmer or a villager,
that's it.
He works with everyone. And so you can see that immediately when you meet him, that he has these qualities of being able to work with all kinds of different types of people. And he's really been tasked with doing that by Rinpoche throughout his career. So besides teaching villagers and farmers and people like this, he's also was the principal at Gante Shedra for a long period of time. So the highest teacher, just like a principal in a school here, overseeing all these other Khenpos in order to maintain the integrity of the tradition.
Wow.
He studied at one of the primary monastic colleges in India, in Mysore, and also has studied Sarajay, so other traditions as well, to study debate and things like this. So he's someone that has really cultivated this throughout his life and studied intensively scholastically, but also I was probably equally proud is that he's completed many long retreats, including the traditional 3-year retreat.
3-year retreat, folks. And now
this
explain.
This is
I want to get into that with him.
He can explain more. Sure. This is like round the clock practice for 3 years, 3 months, 3 days.
Holy cow! And he had some cool experiences with that. So, folks, this is huge. This podcast, we hope, can reach many different people. I mean, literally, I get the privilege to sit in a yogi position in front, and it's like, it's Morpheus, right? Like,
and the cool thing with Khenpo too is he has like 1,000 students in Bhutan that still interact with him on a daily basis through apps, right? Like through WeChat and things like this. And so then, he's still, even though he's here, he's also teaching. It's a different time here versus Bhutan, right? So 8 o'clock at night would be when they're kind of waking up in Bhutan, and so he's constantly still teaching his students back there. So he's got thousands of students, and he also holds a lot of people's lives in his hands, because he started a Shedra in the jungle, right? In southern Bhutan, where it's less settled. He went in and out of his own gift to Rinpoche, came in and settled this place, cleared everything with himself with a bulldozer, and build everything from the ground with his own money. And so he currently is expanding that facility.
Right. And we want to talk
oversees,
about that.
50 different people. He's responsible for something like 33 different monks. He pays for them himself, right? He's solely responsible for these people. So he is solely responsible for over 30 monks. He's got Khenpo, teachers underneath him, Khenpos and other teachers at his shedra. And then also he has a number of anis, of nuns that he's supporting as well. So and he, out of his own pocket, takes care of 50 people's lives in order to advance this tradition. That's how much he cares.
This is so amazing. I'm so grateful, Crystal. Thank you for allowing this podcast to be able to honor this beautiful soul and recognizing like the significance, like him coming to America and specifically Crestone. And so, and what are some of the things? So some of the things require, and so we want to talk more about like his vision, and we'll get into that of why he came to America and what is the purpose of him being here, and how you guys out there, and then that's also a part of this broadcast, is so you guys can know where the Yeshe Khorlo Center is and start coming up and joining our group, because we are looking. Khenpo does want more members to come up. I think we need like 50 of them in order to have Rinpoche.
Yeah, I think it's just sort of a vision is, that we haven't had these Dzogchen practices on this land, but really in the United States, they haven't been held anywhere really in the United States for about 17 years, something like that.
That's it.
15 years, 16 years.
Okay.
So between, basically for 15 years, we haven't had these practices here. We've had a lot of students that sort of grew and developed early when the center was established. And now this feels really, with a new residential teacher, like a rebirth, like you're saying. And for us, we don't charge anything. We're just here to open the doors and allow you to connect with these practices and with this teacher. And so anybody is welcome to come by and benefit in any way or interact in any way that you like. This is open to people from all walks of life and all backgrounds.
Yeah, and Nora is part of, it's a nonprofit organization, so it's a 501. Nora is considered the secretary.
English-speaking secretary. I communicate with the English part of our Sangha. Okay. Because the Sangha also has a number of people in California who are Chinese-speaking. And so I'm the English secretary.
Cool.
But then specifically for Yeshe Khorlo Crestone, Chip and I are just co-managers.
Sure.
And one thing I wanted to share about, kind of in line with Chip's invitation for anybody who wants to come to the temple, is I wanted to be sure to tell the audience what we're doing, some of the things that they can participate in. So I'd mentioned earlier that when we got married, we came down to the temple and there was a soak feast happening. So soak feast is it's a ritual celebration twice a month, and it's based on the lunar calendar. A lot of things in our tradition are based on the lunar calendar. We have a Dakini Day soak feast and a Guru Day soak feast. And those are great opportunities for people from the outside to come in and experience Yeshe Khorlo's style and connect with the teacher and the teachings. During a soak feast, it's a ritual where we honor both on the Guru Day, we honor the role of Guru Rinpoche and the Guru in our lives. And on that day, we feel particularly close to the Guru. So we celebrate that and try to also enter a space of awareness of what the Guru is in our lives, and remember our own personal Guru on that day. And then we also do the protective practice, which is a common practice for Vajrayana traditions. As we mentioned, we do that every day at the temple. That's incorporated into the soak feast. And then on Dakini Day, we celebrate the feminine energy of wisdom, and so the outside folks are welcome to come to either of those. For people who are Vajrayana practitioners, those rituals they're important for us because they remind us of these energies that are happening in our lives all the time. And so we honor them, and we, if we have the blessing of being in the presence of a living guru, which we have now at Yeshe Khorlo, these rituals become extremely powerful.
They do.
And now we're doing the rituals at Yeshe Khorlo are mostly being done in Tibetan. And the reason for that is because our teachers use Tibetan. Tibetan is used as for the ritual language for the liturgies in Bhutan. And so when we use the Tibetan language and combine that also with the melodies that Khenpo is teaching us, as well as instrumentation, there's a different feeling that happens. So this is something that's kind of unique to Yeshe Khorlo, that we have our soak feasts primarily in Tibetan now. And the Tibetan language is easy to read phonetically, and so our manuals have the way that you can sound out the Tibetan. You don't need to read Tibetan letters.
Yeah, and oh man, these soaks, you guys, they are amazing. Like I've always gone to potlucks. I grew up Mormon, and so family traditions, bringing the food in, but I just love chanting and ceremonies, and what Nora's talking about with these soaks. Everyone needs to come up and participate, even if you don't want to do the noondro. This is what I say: if you don't want to do the noondro, fine, but come to the soak. Come to a soak. That's kind of how I feel about it. It's what Nora's talking about. So these soaks, and it's not soaking at the hot tub or anything, but it's a really neat ceremony, and it just got so much energy and beauty around it. And then, like Nora says, to have an actual enlightened Khenpo overseeing it, holy cow. So if you're not coming up, you're missing out, as far as I'm concerned.
Beau's giving an open invitation, not peer pressuring anybody.
Open invitation. And then go ahead, Nora.
And then also on the new moon and the full moon, we offer at 10 o'clock an outdoor smoke offering. It's called Riwa Sangcho.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And we have an outdoor furnace at Yeshe Khorlo that is built in the shape of a stupa. And so we make a fire in that furnace, and we offer pine boughs. So we offer juniper or pinon pine, and it creates a really fragrant smoke that comes out of the top of this furnace. And one of the purposes of the Riwa Sangcho practice is to offer this smoke to beings of all realms. So the smoke permeates the whole space. So we smell it, other beings smell it, you see it. The smoke is like, it can actually penetrate into the sky, right? It goes so far. And this is a way for us to purify karmic obscurations, repair negative relationships with each other and with other beings that we live around, and to also offer an opportunity to see the enlightened qualities of our entire environment, all beings who inhabit this environment with us. So the Riwa Sangcho offering is, we actually offer it every morning in the temple at 7 o'clock. Also, it's actually open to anybody. Chip and I do that practice every morning at 7, and we have some other Sangha members who join sometimes. We don't do the outdoor fire every day. We offer a special kind of incense in the temple. And but twice a month, full moon and new moon at 10 a.m. we do it outside.
Twice a month. And then how often do you do the soak?
Twice a month.
Twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also, and I was correct in saying that this is the first time we've ever done the chewed practice. Fway!
Yeah. So the other practice that we started recently is 2 practices I want to mention, because also they're open to others who are interested. Definitely the chip practice. when Khenpo arrived, when Khenpo was visiting in the summer with Gongten Rinpoche at the end of the soak, or in the middle of the soak that we did when Gongten Rinpoche was here, they offered the chit practice. And it was, just speaking from personal experience, it was really a mesmerizing experience for me as a student. And so when Khenpo became our resident teacher and he said he wanted to teach Chud, I was really excited about this. And Khenpo's there are many different styles of Chud. There are many different ways of practicing Chud. The particular way that we're learning it at Yeshe Khorlo is based on a way that Khenpo learned where the practice has many different melodies. Yeah. And the melodies are, they don't sound like songs that we sing here. Let's just put it that way. It takes some getting used to. And the group has been growing and learning these songs.
Oh man, this Chud is like, I almost left the center, actually, to be honest. I got so discouraged. I was just like, oh my gosh, how can I memorize these 8 melodies? And Khenpo had one that was really, there's 2 melodies that I feel like there's American melody songs, and one of them he does is I love you. That's Barney.
I don't know if Barney's in the Chud.
I knew Chip was gonna. Anyways, I'm not gonna do it here. But this particular practice. Okay, so I talked about spiritual warfare in the collective. I actually believe this Chud practice, as we come together, and I know you can do it on your own, but it's usually generally done in a choir of a bunch of people with it has a little drum and a bell. So literally this drum, you're moving, it has 2 ropes on it that bang either side of it. Plus you're swinging a bell with your left hand. Plus you're singing the song. And you got to remember, like, it's so overwhelming. However, I didn't give up. I kept going. And I could tell Chip and Nora were doing their best to learn it too. So I was like, I can't give up. I got to just keep doing it, regardless if Khenpo is disappointed with me. So, but what I'm saying is, it's a I'm sure there's many layers to this. This is just what I'm feeling and what the significance is. It's a way to clear in the collective feel of these demon obscurations in the collective consciousness, because the ego, the hive mind, there's a hive mind, and if you pick up on a hive mind, it could say, kill rich people. It's best that we kill them and get rid of them, right? And so this particular practice is an ancient practice that helps clear those and you guys can correct me, but that's what I feel. One of the things it could be.
I think that the chit practice, actually the way that Khenpo is teaching it is also very different. So I won't disagree with what you're saying, but I also think it's much broader. And we also haven't been taught on the chit yet, because one of the reasons that Khenpo teaches it the way he does, which is to teach the melodies first, is because the melodies, when you're singing the melodies, something happens that is nonverbal. And a feeling of devotion and openness occurs by learning the songs. And so when we come from that angle, a lot of people want to know, what are we doing? What does the chit mean? How can I do this better? How can I get good at this? Right. But Khenpo's teaching it in a way that is different.
That's right.
So when he has said, once we become better at the chud, in the sense that we remember the tunes and we actually have improved greatly, then he's going to deepen the teaching and teach us more about what it means, because there are many, many, many layers.
So I want to say Khenpo is leaving for 2 months. Yeah. And he was teaching us the chud practice. We're going to kind of maybe put the chud practice on hold at the Yeshe Khorlo.
No. We're going to So going on with the schedule. So the chip practice, we're going to shift from doing twice a week to once a week. And the way that we're going to do it
That's right.
is we're going to sing through the practice twice together, and then we're going to practice the drum and bell. So rather than meeting twice a week, we'll meet once a week.
There we go.
And the chip practice, it's something that you need to receive the lung to practice it. And so for people who don't know what the lung is a reading transmission of the text that we're using. That reading transmission is offered by Khenpo. And so if you haven't received the lung...
But isn't it a blessing too? Or I need to be correct.
It needs to be done directly.
Okay.
So it's something that the teacher and the student are conscious of.
Correct.
So for example, if anybody wants to practice chun, they need to have the reading transmission from Khenpo. But I share that because even though Khenpo is going to be gone for a couple of months, he's still willing to do reading transmissions over Zoom.
Oh,
So if anybody hears this and feels very drawn to doing one of these practices at Yeshe Khorlo and wants to receive the lung for it, we can arrange that. But yeah, this should specifically, you definitely have to have the lung in order to practice with us.
okay. And then one of the other things while he's gone, we're going to start doing, and I'm super excited, it's green Tara.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to do green Tara. And I don't think there's been a center that's actually done the true green Tara. I mean, I chanted it with Calvin, Om Tare Ture Ture So Ham. And I would do it. And I didn't even know Ture, and I'd been doing it for years. And so this one, we're going to start as a group doing it. Please come up, like, green Tara, like who doesn't love green Tara? So
Green Tara we will practice on Mondays,
Monday.
5:15 to 6:45.
Okay.
And we're not the only place in town that does green Tara. I will say that Vajravidya has a very strong green Tara.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Vajravidya is a different tradition, but we have very similar green Tara practices.
But to have Khenpo come and show us, I guess that's the significance.
Yes.
Yeshe Khorlo
It's
is like,
really
oh,
wonderful.
wow. And I found that fascinating to see Khenpo showing the real green Tara practice. So yeah, that's great. All right, here we go. Khenpo, the legend, the man. Here he is. Khenpo, do you have a voice? So, Khenpo, one of the fascinating things is you spent a 3-year retreat. Is that did they lock you in a prison door and shut the door with no lights and a little door? Did they put you in a room? No?
I've been here to all of the world and organizing, broadcasting to my two friends. So thankful to you too also.
Yeah.
So for retreat, 3 years, it is not like a jail.
Maybe that's when our minds.
Yeah,
that's what
actually, inside the jail, there is something, so what we call, they have something giving torture, is it?
Yeah.
But in the retreat, there is not torture, actually. So we should open the mind in the relax. That is called retreat, actually. Retreat is not at the cabins and house where the people they put in the jails. It's not like that. So actually we should keep it our body, mind, speech in the relax one. So this place name called retreat. So I finished my 3 here retreat in Kangte. First of all, for 6 months, we should Dzogchen. So Dzogchen means the Mahasandhi. It is pointing directly to our natural mind. Introduction, actually. Dzogchen is not a textbook. So, see, if you have any experience, that experience is not in the textbook. Which you eat it, some chocolate. So somebody they didn't eat, is it? This sweet experience not in the textbook. It is who has this sweet. Man has this experience. So this is called the Dzogchen. So first of all, we should finish 6 months the Dzogchen Singendo. And the second 6 months, we should, there is 2 guru actually. So peaceful guru and wrathful guru. And from there, we should do a 6 month the yoga. Salong Tukur, we call Salong Tukur. So yoga. And from there, so we have, I told you there is 2 guru, is it? One, we finish in 6 months, the peaceful guru. Then second, so 6 months we should do a rightful guru. And the 6 month, we can do a Vazakilya. And the 6 months, we can do a Dzogchen. And the 3 months, we can do a Avalokiteshvara, so compassion minds. And 1 month, we can do a long life meditation. Then only we can get outside. But when we get fast in the retreat, so we sit many years in the house and it gets a little bit upset. But when we are going to finish, it is getting sad also. We don't want to be in the samsara, is it?
No.
I think samsara is many trouble. That's why. So our mind is pointing. Now it is opening another door to go.
Right.
Also, we should listen to our guru. That's why I think I came here.
Yeah, really. And so, how did it lead up to being called? Like, how did that work, Khenpo? Like, how did, oh, you got a phone call. Oh, Khenpo, you're going to Crestone. Like, was this a instant thing, or was this?
But this is not from the fault. I think God is prophecy for me. Guru Rinpoche, my guru is the Guru Rinpoche. I think Guru Rinpoche give me a prophecy call.
That's okay.
Not in the phone call, okay?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So before I think I have some connect.
It's a little telepathic, folks.
Colorado Crestone. You left your student there by hungry, so you should solve them. So that's why I came here.
How did you feel about coming to Crestone? What were you feel like? Oh, I got my mission call, like from my mass, like was it that or from God? Like, how did you feel coming here?
But I didn't mean anything. So when I came here, then I connect with the Western people. This is difficult for first culture also.
Yeah.
Then talking.
Yeah.
Then thinking also is different.
Yeah.
Now everything is difficult.
Right.
But I want to solve this difficult for here. But I make this ones all soft.
Yeah.
So easy, not a difficult.
No. And it's true because it's overwhelming with this. But then it was nice because I also felt overwhelmed from being a student to have like a monk coming, like it can be very intimidating. And a lot of people struggle with that. And so when I saw his softness and his willingness and how it really looked in real life, it softened me. And so I just want to like it. Yeah, you're doing a great job, Khenpo. Like the courage, like you're perfect, actually. I need to say this to you. You really are really good. And even if you're not that good with English, you are good. Like it's perfect because it lets us know we're not that good. Like,
well, the literal meaning of Dzogchen is the great perfection. So, I mean, that's what's funny to me about Dzogchen is you can study a lot and do a lot of practices. And at the same time, there's a lot of texts that just say, leave this alone, be yourself, leave this exactly as it is.
There you go.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, one thing I'm curious about, because you live in Bhutan, what I've heard about Bhutan is that it's one of the happiest places in the world.
Yes.
Yeah. What can you say about like why you think it's one of the happiest places?
The happiness is actually not with the place, is it? Happiness comes from our mind. So if we don't have our happiness mind in the Bhutan also, we can't get happy in the Bhutan. It's opening with our mind. So see, in our body we have like a culture. If somebody, the oldest man, see, we can respect them. See, from there, so oldest men get happy, is it? Then the youngest men get married. From there, happiness comes naturally in our mind then. So who are you? So I'm the biggest here. If you think like this, I think it's happiness losing, making down. So from there, it comes never happiness. So see, in the USA, there's anything. But happiness is not as much, is it?
Wow.
Yeah. That's why happiness is from not the place, but the rich, big downtown. Is this big shop, malls? It comes not from there. It comes from our mind.
But, Khenpo, there's more people practicing there. And I would believe that through practicing the sacred Rinpoche lineage helps you achieve liberation or happiness. Right?
Or this happiness is different now. So I should talk different. Which will liberate happiness is the real happiness and permanent happiness. Now just we are happy, is it? We don't have sickness. This happiness is impermanent. It is not a real. Tomorrow we will get sad also. See? So this liberation getting from the dharmas is we are finding a peace, a real and permanent peace.
Yeah, like unconditional peace that's not dependent on what's appearing to quote unquote happen.
Yeah, peace is not in the shop also.
No.
If we have peace in the shop, we can buy it. Yeah, somebody they have many money, is it? They are all suffering. Peace is not in the outside, not in outside. It's inside our mind. We should make our peace ourselves. From how we can make, but there is many, is it? Sometimes we go to the park, also we get peace, but when we come back, it gets said, oh, I left so good place. Sometimes we go to meet our parents also, we get peace with talking or hugging. From coming back, I left my mom. So there's the seed. It's not in the outside actually. So we should find in our mind.
Yeah. And I think some people have this idea that enlightenment means that they're going to be like happy all the time or blissed out all the time or something. But the peace I think we're talking about is different from that. Like you can still have different emotions arise, and maybe they even arise more freely because you don't, you're not trying to block them or, go somewhere else with it. And it doesn't those emotions, the energy moving through you does not disturb that unconditional peace. Yeah. I mean, what would you say, Khenpo, about like what is enlightenment, or does the word enlightenment mean something to you, or does it?
So actually, enlightenment is not like a statue. Statue made by mud. Is this something made by something things? Enlightenment is not like thing. Where in the temple has it? Enlightenment means you don't have your five poison: ignorance, desire, anger, jealousy, proud. If you don't have this, you are the enlightened man. If you don't, what we call, so if you have this five, now you are the sentient being. If you don't have this five, you are the Buddha, enlightened man.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think of it too as like the Buddha kind of got it wrong in a sense, where because he was known for saying, and we don't really know if he said this, but that desire is the cause of suffering. But what has become quite apparent is that actually the cause of suffering is self-interest, like being interested in a self that doesn't actually even exist in any kind of separative, kind of way. And so, yeah, that's where, I want to shout out one of because I was actually, I had a formative Dzogchen teacher, Peter Brown. He teaches something called the Yoga of Radiant Presence. And he considers himself teaching Dzogchen without a license. Like he doesn't,
that's what we're, right.
He doesn't come from a lineage or anything, but he's still a very powerful master. And it really blew my mind in a lot of ways. And he would say things just like abandon, self-interest, have this kind of buoyant disinterest. It's not like a disinterest that is like cold and kind of like, indifferent in that way, but it's like a disinterest where it's like, you're actually just kind of free floating and, you're like bubbly still, but you're just not really interested in anything in particular. Because that interest itself kind of can focus, yourself in this way that can kind of, feel closed, or you kind of just start to simulate your own imagination. You kind of simulate the implications of what it might be like if that were true, even though, nothing actually is true.
There you go. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, enlightenment is, Khenpo actually means all-knowing, showing Po meaning the way. So I asked Khenpo like, all-knowing of Dharma, all-knowing, not like, I'm an encyclopedia, and I know every subject that ever was. And so the ego clinging, it keeps you from being happy. And Khenpo talks about the 5 things. That's all these practices are, is just to remove the ego clinging identity. And we all received an ego when we were children. We just didn't grow up in a great, I don't care who you were, it takes an entire village to like. Anyway, so once enlightenment, I guess, it's just, for me, it feels like I'm letting go of all attachments. I'm letting go of my ego identity so that I can live in joy and happiness when I can show up and I just let anything be. Whatever's going to be is going to be that day, whether it's good, bad, or good, negative, or whatever. If it's negative, my happiness should be the same. Right? Because I feel like happiness comes across like this. It's constant. But to tap into constant and permanent happiness is very difficult. And so, Khenpo, I wanted to ask, so what's your future mission? Like, what would you like to see happen? What is it that in your heart, with your journey coming to here, what is some of your mission, I guess?
in the future. So,
The future, yeah.
yeah. So I want to teach the West, all of the Westerner for Buddha's textbook.
Oh, nice.
So I want to teach a Buddha's Dharma.
Mm.
Actually, I'm thinking this one. So everybody have a Buddha's Dharma. Comes war also, see. So what comes from where, see, this is from our mind. I want this place. I want that country. Is it? See, from the anger, then they will kill the other also.
Mm.
So this is coming from the anger. I want it means this is the desire. Is it? So if you don't have anger, see, in the family, this house also, if their father, he don't have anger, in this family, mom and the kid also is so happy. He will never hit his woman, is it? So if the mother, she don't have anger, never jealous for his husband, is it? It is so quiet. So in this family, in this house, it's like a nirvana.
Mm.
No, see, if you have for a husband, he have anger, he will hit always to this. Why? It's in this place, see, it's like a heel. If she has the anger, she always jealous to his husband, and it gets fighting every time, is it? But it is so good for no need to buy TV. Father and mother show wrestling, real wrestling. So see, for desire also is not for husband, so men like women or women like, it is not. If you like the things which we want, it is, we can't sleep also. I saw in that shop, it's a big something. So we don't have money. We have desired that things. Now, is it so suffering?
I think, one of the things I hear you saying is that you want to, teach and spread the Dharma out here because you see it as an end to war and to people like fighting with each other. I think it's easy to make a case that like the belief in separation is the kind of core cause, so to speak, of like a lot of violence and a lot of war. And that, is the importance of, spreading this, to more people. Yeah.
And also just to add to that, there's, I lived in Sedona, and when you go through a spiritual awakening, God, you need direction. You need help. You need a safe place to be able to work through that awakening. And they said that the Native Americans, when they saw someone in the village that was going through awakening, they'd come around them and circle them, and they knew what was happening, that there was a new spirit walking into the individuals, and they needed to be nurtured. They needed to be loved. And so Khenpo represents that love of, hey, you're good. Just listen to me. Like you're going to make it. You're going to be okay. And so I think the demand is huge. Like we need these things, and we need more Khenpo laws, more little Khenpo law, like whole bunch of them. And they can come help us. And so we're going to, we pray that the abundance comes in to build more centers. And if you feel called to this particular practice, here it is. It's available, right? That's the thing. It's availability. It's not available over here. In fact, Sedona doesn't even have a Buddhist temple at all. They have a couple stupas. They met at the Global Center of Christ Consciousness. My friend Michael Murad, He was great. But other than that, there was no center you could actually go to. So there's the teaching, there's the confusion, and then there's that actual sacred practice that you can participate in through your awakening process. And you need a teacher. You need an authentic teacher with a very, and you need that foundation. And I'm not saying, there's many paths to enlightenment, right? But I pray that you all come up to the center. Nora's great. She's her mom, and she'll keep us on track. She'll keep the schedule together. And but I guess we can wrap up here. But I want to make sure that we get an address and phone number. So
the temple is in Crestone. The address is 2281-A Happy Day Overlook. And the way I like to describe how to get there is if you're driving in Crestone toward the spiritual centers are on a dirt road. Once the pavement ends, Yeshe Khorlo is the first left. So once you hit the dirt road, make the first left and come all the way to the top of the driveway.
And then you come right up there. So contact the center, come on up, enjoying us. What a wonderful, so grateful today. Thank you, Chriso. New Year's Day. I know you partied hard last night.
I did.
And that's okay. We got Noon Joe for that hangover, but no. And so Chip, awesome. Nora, and then of course Khenpo. Is there anything you would like to shout out or anything before we get off?
I want to add our phone number and email address.
Oh, yes.
719-256-5224 is the phone number for the temple. And then you can also email us at Yeshe, Yeshe Khorlo, KHORLO, USA @gmail.com. Yeshe Khorlo USA @gmail.com.
And we'll put all that in the description too. Yeah.
Just to close out, I just want to say, if there's ever anything we can do for you, come on up. So as long as we're there, the doors are open. It's great if you call in advance. We can give you a private tour of the cabins or of the Lakong itself, of the grounds. But anything you need, feel free to reach out. What we're offering is your birthright. It's the birthright of all human beings. And it's not tied to any sort of religious ideology or sectarian bias. This is just, if you want to know the nature of your mind, this is where you come. And I've seen many people, myself included, get stuck for many years in a lot of these different forms of New Age spirituality, different forms of meditation practice, different forms of trying to understand non-duality, people that are trying to understand and integrate psychedelic experiences. If you need that actual help, the real one, a solid lineage with a real teacher, this is the place you can come. And so we try to make it as open and available as possible because we care, not because we're trying to get anything out of it. So anything we can do for you, let us know.
Perfect.
Sweet. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was an honor having you guys on. Happy New Year.
Yeah,
Thank
Happy
you. Thank
New
you.
Year. All right.
Thank you.
It's Voidtown Pirate Radio. Oh, hear them radio waves aglow. Yo ho, yo ho, yo ho, yo ho. It's Voidtown Pirate.